Hi there, I'm Amanda Cromhote from Truth. Welcome to the Blind Loyalty Challenge. We interview world experts in loyalty blindly. We're hoping to create insight, spontaneity, and a lot of fun through the challenge. The challenge is about promoting the blind loyalty trust, and my book called Blind Loyalty, 101 Loyalty Concepts Radically Simplified. All profits from the book go towards the trust. We hope you enjoy the Blind Loyalty Challenge. So look at this, what a difference of today's Blind Loyalty Challenge. I think I have my first guest or victim, whatever noun we associate, is on the beach. So we have Lee Martin from Australia, and he's on the beach. Look at this, it's fabulous. Welcome, Lee.
Hi, Amanda. It's great to be here, and hopefully this goes well. My 11-year-old son seems to think that I'm going to be an influencer after this, being on YouTube. My 13-year-old daughter said, "Nah, if it's not on Snapchat, then it's not real."
Yeah, I think she's right. But it's not going on Snapchat, so you go
No,
with your
good.
too. And you've got the floral shirt as well, Carly. Thank you for making Lee wear the floral shirt. So Carly Neubauer tagged you. Carly and I are obviously guest hosts together on Loyalty TV,
Yep.
and Carly from Elevate, her business Elevate. So we had a wonderful chat, and she tagged you. So just a little bit of background to Lee. He was with Ellipsis, extremely well-known consultancy firm, but has been in loyalty for 26 years, started out with Boots Advantage card, so in a very impressive loyalty pedigree. So he's going to sail through today's blind loyalty challenge. So are you up for this, Lee?
Yeah, thank you. You've just given away my age, which people will be shocked at, clearly. But yeah, that's right. 26 years in loyalty. Yeah, I'm loving it.
Don't worry, my vintage is even older, so don't worry, it's okay. So the first question actually resonates with chapter 90 of Blind Loyalty book, and it was positioned for you, not necessarily for you, but by Patricia Vidori from Oxxo, the big convenience store in Mexico. So Patricia's question is, what revenue streams are the most important or impactful to achieve in a loyalty program to offset costs?
That's a really good one, and I do remember Patricia asking this one. I personally, I think there are two answers. There's the longer answer, but there's the really simple answer. So I'll start with the simple answer first. I think if any loyalty program doesn't drive additional revenue from its members, then it's probably not doing the right thing and doing the thing that it should be doing. So that has to be absolutely number one, right? Uplift. So more spend from members, from customers that join the program. And the real target should really be about CLTV, customer lifetime value, right? So regardless of whether you're in a consumer products or a grocery brand with a frequency of 2 or 3 times a week, or you're a premium apparel brand with a frequency of maybe once or twice a year for your average customers. And I'll give you the bunny ears because there's no such thing as average, right? Let's get that out there straight away. But for a typical median customer, might only be 2 times a year. They'll both use different strategies, but they should both be looking at driving customer lifetime value. One might be using a strategy to drive basket size, or in the case of a grocer, perhaps where everybody shops multiple grocers. There's very few people who are absolutely dedicated just to one grocer, unless it's very location specific. Then there's a real opportunity to grab a bigger share of that customer's wallet. If they shop with 3 grocers, then just getting them to shop with you once extra every month is a massive uplift. So that could be basket size, it could be share of wallet and frequency. And then for the premium apparel retailer, as an example, it might be just making sure that you are at the top of the funnel. So mental availability. And I don't have to mention who's very famous for talking about mental and physical availability and his love of loyalty schemes, shall we say. But I really firmly believe, along with a lot of people in our industry, that actually loyalty programs can have a great influence on mental availability. So it makes you think about the brand. And as an old boss of mine, 26 years, used to call it creating fog, actually fogging the decision process. And this is where you go into behavioral economics and heuristics and cognitive biases. If you can actually get into somebody's head and stop them thinking about that decision and make it automatic through a loyalty program, then that's going to put you at the top of that choice funnel. So even if it's only twice a year rather than twice a week. The longer answer, of course, would be monetization of audience. Retail media is everywhere these days, and retail media isn't new, but the way it's being managed and the technology that's come on board to help drive retail media, particularly with grocers here and America and the US today, is just phenomenal. And the increased richness and targeting capability that loyalty programs give you, that's made that a very, very rich vein of revenue for a lot of businesses. So I'd say that the longer audiences, yes, there are other revenue streams, monetization of your audience, and the other one would be partnerships. So there's two reasons for doing partnerships. One is to increase the value that you give to your members. The other one might be to create a revenue stream through partners by acting as an acquisition channel on their behalf. And we see a lot of this with certainly in Australia, Shopback and Cash Rewards, which don't fund any of the offers that they give as loyalty programs, but they're monetizing that channel and basically selling that channel as an acquisition channel to the merchants who fund them. So there are a number of ways of doing it, but ultimately, number one, customer lifetime value of your members.
Masterclass, Lee. Masterclass. Thank you. God, I'm going to well, it's being recorded, so we'll be able to replay that whenever this question's asked again. Wonderful. Thank you. Interestingly, when you talk about grocery retailers, we're about to release our loyalty white paper for 2024-25 with our partner BrandMap. And their data, the BrandMap data, shows that typically South Africans do use 3 different grocery retailers. And the loyalty decision is very impactful, but it's behind convenience and location, convenience and price and location.
Yeah, I worked at Metcash here in Australia for 8 years, and the primary brand that I supported there from a shopper engagement and loyalty perspective was IGA, Independent Grocers Association. And this data just absolutely matches that, Australia. Location, price, loyalty.
I'm sure it's global, so it's good to see though in the different
number three's way up the list, right?
Yeah, very much so. So we celebrate that. We don't look at it as a failure. It's great. Wonderful. Okay, so we're already having a stunning conversation. So my second question is from chapter 7 in Blind Loyalty. I talk a lot about customer experience. I'm very passionate about how the loyalty program isn't separate from the overall experience. What's your personal or professional best loyalty experience or most impactful loyalty experience in loyalty? Customer experience in loyalty?
My personal one is an airline example. And it's a Qantas example. Now, I'm not going to suggest that Qantas are the brand that they used to be. They've had their issues over the last few years in Australia. But a few years ago, I did a lot of travel domestically and achieved platinum status. And the experience that, and I've heard a few of your guests talk about these types of experiences. It was all about the status. So the points were great, but I didn't do very much with the points. The status made the difference. And there was, and the real experience for me was it's a simple thing, but it's a massive pain point if you have to phone customer services to make a change or request a change, or there's an issue with your ticket. And that pain point, which fortunately doesn't happen for everyone, but I think you said Rory Sutherland when he flies with an airline where he's not a member, his anxiety level is 30% higher. Right? Yeah, I remember that. But by achieving that platinum status, I knew that I could phone them and I wouldn't be on an IVR. I'd get through to a human being. This was before AI bots, but that human being would be empowered to help me and solve my problems. And then maybe that's at the expense of the people that aren't, but for the status that I had and the amount that I've flown, that experience, so it took away all that stress. So if I have an issue, I'm running late to the airport, there's an electrical storm because it's Melbourne and the weather's shit, and it causes dreadful jams on the bridge. I think I'm going to miss my flight. What on earth do I do here? One quick phone call. That's fine, Mr. Martin. We'll get you on the next flight. If you have any other issues, just come and call us back or change your flight. No, just took away all the stress. So that sort of experience point is fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I think any of us who have to travel a lot, the status position on a frequent flyer program outweighs any value of points without question.
Yeah, totally.
Wonderful. So my last question, chapter 82, this will be easy for you because you're a real program operator. You've got years of experience. Chapter 82 talks about the challenges of implementing loyalty. What do you think is the biggest challenge for program managers?
Oh, the biggest challenge. I'm going to say internal buy-in. I really do believe that to implement a program well, it has to be, and you mentioned it a few minutes ago, it has to be part of the brand. It has to become part of the brand DNA, like an extension of the brand. So that there's probably a whole chapter in your book there about that anyway, and how it's not a bolt-on. It has to be aligned with the brand values, what you're looking to deliver, what the value proposition is. But if it's not, and it's not fully accepted as part of the brand and part of the whole value proposition by any part of the business, that's going to put speed humps in the way. So I've seen some while working at Ellipsis, and I've worked with some fantastic brands and some fantastic people over the last couple of years in different engagements. And I've seen some really good loyalty programs that have failed because they have not been implemented on the ground floor, on the shop floor, in the retailer, in the franchisee, wherever it might be. You can have the best proposition in the world, but if your people that work face to face with potential members, i.e. your customers, if they don't talk about it for whatever reason, they don't understand it, they're not incentivized, it takes too long, it creates problems with queues at the till, they don't want to spend time to talk to somebody about joining up, that just kills it. That absolutely kills it. And you can't possibly get a return on investment without really, really perfect execution. And perfect execution only comes with real buy-in. So you've got to get all those things right. A successful loyalty program, there's so much in there about transformation and change management to make it work in real life.
Totally. Brilliant. Thanks, Lee. Oh, I've enjoyed listening to you. So couldn't agree with everything. I think we're a bit aligned in how we approach loyalty. So stunning. Thank you very much. So now probably the two hardest questions are, can you tag somebody for me to interview next? And a question for someone. It might not be the person you tag.
Well, the first one is really easy. This is a guy that I have known about the same length of time that I've known Sarah Richardson. We've talked before about this since basically almost day one since I moved to Australia. So 13 years ago. And he's such a good guy, such a nice guy, but such a brainiac as well. He's really, really good at what he does on loyalty, CRM implementation. And that's Reagan Yan. So Reagan is based in Bangkok now. But he's fantastic. I think I'm really surprised nobody has put him up actually, because he goes on the speaking circuit and he has a lot of really clever things to say. So sorry, Reagan, but come on, take one.
I have to say, this is the favorite part of doing Blind Loyalty Challenge, because I get to meet all these amazing humans. So thank you for the introduction. And a question which may not be for Reagan, we will use it when we can next use it.
I think, and I know I think you've discussed this one in the past with other people as well, but I'm going to ask one about sustainability. So sustainability, ESG, doing the right thing. I think one of the recent stats, maybe it was the ALA research, 60% of customers want to see or want to be able to participate to ensure that the brands that they shop with and the loyalty programs they're part of are sustainable and have sustainable practices. So from a practical perspective, that's clearly going to potentially cost a lot more money. How do programs go about ensuring that they are sustainable for 5, 10, 15 years? And you said it, Amanda, 26 years in loyalty. It's 26, 27 years since the Boots Advantage Card scheme launched. So these programs are and should be long-term. So sustainability is really key. How do they go about doing that?
Wonderful. Lovely question. I love it. We actually covered this in our white paper as well. It gets released next week. So stunning. Interestingly, you say Boots is 26 years old, because I always compare Boots to Clicks in South Africa. It's a very comparable proposition, and they're turning 30 this year.
Yes. Well, I think depending on how you look at it, Boots is probably, you could say Boots is 30, because before I was with Boots, but before I joined the loyalty team, they ran a pilot. And this, I can never imagine anyone ever doing this again. It was the most incredible thing. And as somebody who loves data and analytics and marketing and customer science, I just absolutely love what they did. They took Scotland and they took Cornwall, which is the southwestern corner of the UK.
The opposite end of the island.
They launched in one area first, and then a year later they launched in the other area for a year. So they ran this pilot for 2 years in 2 regions in the UK, and then launched nationally. So you imagine from a sort of analytics perspective, it's the only loyalty program where I've seen such a large scale control group. So they could actually measure the like for like with a control group, not members versus non-members, not before and after, but actually what was the uplift in Scotland? What was the uplift in Cornwall compared to the rest of the country? And then when the rest of the country launched, did that get an uplift to catch up with? It was just, astonishing. I have no idea how that came up then, but yeah, that's right. Yeah, because it was there for 2 years in pilot. So it's probably 29 years old if you include that.
Well, as you say, the successful programs are lasting, which is good. Wonderful, Lee. What a pleasure. Well, you're obviously here on the beach. I can see, I'm very jealous. The palm trees behind you. So I'm going to leave you to relax, put on that suntan lotion and have a good, well, it's evening.
I'll get my Crocs off and dip my toe in the water though, I think, next.
It was all going well until you said Crocs.
I don't own any Crocs, Amanda. It's an in-joke, and I'm not going to say who with, Carly, but don't worry, I don't actually have any Crocs yet.
It's okay if you did. I wouldn't disown you. Thank you, Lee. That was an absolute pleasure. Amazing.
Thank you, Amanda. Cheers.